Hey folks, this is Chris Johnson at Living Waters Fly Fishing. Today we are going to record a video in place of our virtual fly tying that we normally do on a Wednesday night, just simply because I'm going to be out fishing. I'm actually going out to the Western Hill Country with my lovely bride Emily, and we're going to go fish a number of rivers in the Western Hill Country. But sadly I will miss virtual fly tying night, so don't feel too bad for me. I'll be catching a bunch of Guadalupe bass and cichlids and fishing some of these guys right here, which is what we're tying tonight. We are going to be doing my Creek Leech. So this is Johnson's Creek Leech. We're going to be doing it in a little bit different color scheme than is even put out by Umpqua. The fly is available through fly shops all nationwide and beyond as basically a general kind of creature or leech pattern for bass. You can use it for Guadalupe, smallmouth, largemouth. I've caught carp on it. I mean, everything likes eating it a little bit. So that's the thing that I love about these guys is the biggest carp I've ever actually caught on fly rod was with one of these. And it was an accident, but it was about a 20-pound fish out of Brushy Creek, so can't complain. But tonight we're going to go ahead and get started. It's not all that difficult of a fly to tie. The basis of the whole thing right here is a Gamakatsu B10S, and we're going to do it in a size 6. So it's kind of an oddball size. I know Umpqua produces them in a 4 and an 8, but the size 6 is kind of that missing middle, so we're going to kind of live in there for just a minute. The eyes that I'm going to be using tonight, I've really just fallen in love with these sight cast hotspot eyes. These things are great because it's just a painted lead eye. This is a size small, which is a really good match for the size 6 B10S. And what we're going to do, I'm using a 10-aught Veevus, by the way, for thread. You can use an 8-aught if you want. One caution here is when you tie these on, I mean, it's the same thing. It's kind of your figure 8 wraps or however you want to do it. I typically wrap a bunch in one direction under some maximum tension, give it a pull, cross back over, and make more wraps the other direction, give it a pull, and then make your frapping wraps, which are the ones that are kind of that helicopter wrap right around the base of the eyes. Give a good pull, do that again, another good pull, and our work here is done. The eyes shouldn't move, and that is what we're after right there. So that is the basic premise of this entire fly, is to actually have these things nice and secure and on the bottom of the hook so that it flips the hook to where the hook in the water will ride like this, where the eyes are going to be on the bottom, hook point up to where we're not getting hung up. So all we're going to do now is just give a couple of advancing thread wraps right there, and the other thing that's kind of the unique surprise about this fly is this, and this is a leg material. I'll show you the package here. It's called Perfect Rubber. This is by Hedron Flashabou, and Hedron Flashabou does a great job of making some cool stuff. They make some amazing flash, and they're really more known for that. You know, Flashabou and all sorts of different, you know, kind of crystal flash blends, stuff like that. But this leg material actually floats. So what I'm going to do is take a single leg, cut it in half, and what I want to do here, and this is just my personal preference, you do not have to do it this way if you do not want to. I actually like tying these in as a loop. And I do it to where I don't actually have to cut off any excess. And I'm just simply going to pull that leg tight. I tack it a little bit. You can see I'm kind of tacking it into the direction that I wrap, because I'm backwards like that. And you know, when you wrap backwards, you just kind of deal with it. And you know you're going to get made fun of your whole life, and it's okay. I had somebody that I won't name on this video make fun of me on the phone today for it as well. And so far, I still think that it helps my flies just because they look just a little bit different than anybody else's. And so that just because they swim a little wonky or something, I'm not really sure. So anyway, we've got two rubber legs out the back. And what we're going to do next is add some dubbing. And this, I love this stuff right here. This is SLF dubbing, the Dave Whitlock blend. Guy knew what he was doing when it comes to dubbing. This right here is the color code. So if you're looking at that and trying to match it, this is a Nearnuff Sculpin in a golden brown. It has a great, great color. Looks like this out of the package, just that kind of nice, I mean, it's exactly that. It's more of a golden brown. Has a little bit of kind of a crawfish color to it, which is what we're after tonight. You can dub this old school if you want to and do the dubbing needle thing, or excuse me, the dubbing noodle thing where you can actually just put it on the thread itself. I actually like splitting my thread here, and I know not everybody likes that. So if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. I hereby give you permission to do it the old-fashioned way if you want to, but I really like inserting this dubbing into a split thread and using that as a dubbing loop. And you could make a dubbing loop if you want to. It just looks a little shaggier and fluffier if you do it this way, and I'm a big fan of that. So all I'm going to do is just put a handful of dubbing tufts in there, line those up nice and neat, pull the thread, and all I'm going to do is spin the bobbin. You can see my bobbin's just spinning away right there. Move all those twists up into that dubbing brush, and you'll notice it has this nice fluffy appearance, and that thread has locked that dubbing in there nice and neat. One thing I will say is if you have a little kind of excesses, try to pull those out and just make sure that it's a nice even brush, something more along that line right there. You can kind of see that on the camera. I know that's not perfectly focused, but it's the general idea that counts there. All we're going to do is start right against the legs, advancing that right up the hook, and all we're going to do is just one wrap right in front of the other, and if you have any left over, just burn it right there by the eyes. That's all we need right there. Just kind of tease that out. That's exactly what I want. Make sure our legs are where we want after all the wraps. Everything is good. Couple of wraps stroking everything back. You'll notice we have this nice fluffy shaggy body there. You can absolutely, if you so see fit, you can brush this out with a dubbing brush if it didn't fluff out enough for you, or if you're doing it kind of old style, that's not a problem either. Very, very easy to achieve. We are going to take, this is one leg cut in half of that perfect rubber, and this is just in that kind of bright orange color is all it is. Once again, I tie my legs in a little bit different than everybody else. I like doing them in a loop like this to where I can actually get more thread contact. I'm actually tying in both strands instead of just crossing over one when it's doubled. I see a lot of people that just tie the thread and it makes contact right there in that apex of that little loop when you're pulling the thread through the middle, and it just doesn't give as much bite. And so here, all I'm doing is tying that in, pulling it and trimming it. Same story, I'm going to make another loop over here. This allows the thread to contact both legs, and I love that just because I get more thread bite, it keeps it in position correctly, and you'll notice that they splay out of both sides of the hook there. After you've done so, pull this tight, give a little snip, make a couple securing wraps, nothing fancy, and then for our final step before the finishing touches on this fly, we are going to go ahead, we'll trim all the legs up later just as a FYI, but we're going to take some more dubbing here. And all we're going to do is add a little bit. You don't need a lot here. General rule of dubbing, we tell this to folks every Wednesday night, is take what you think you need, cut it in half, and cut it in half again. You're probably getting pretty close to what it is you actually need for this step. All I'm going to do is make a nice neat little dubbing noodle there. You'll notice there's not a whole lot of thickness to it. All we're going to do here is finish that up from behind and come over the eyes to kind of cover our tracks. Make sure that that's nice and neat. As soon as you run out, get in front of those eyes and you are good to go. If you want to, this is a really good opportunity to kind of tease that out and brush that out. That's exactly what I want right there. Flip the hook over for final steps. And so now we've got rear legs, a dubbed body. We have the front legs here that we'll trim, and this is actually a pretty good time to do that. I normally just hold the legs down. I know this is probably slightly out of frame, but all I'm doing is holding the legs down, cutting them, and those legs should come just past the back of the hook, something like that. And I may trim those up a little bit more in the final step. It just depends on how it looks with the rabbit strip here in just a minute. So final steps. This is one of the key elements of this fly. This is Whiting Soft Hackle Chickabou. Really, really good stuff. This is Spey Soft Hackle Chickabou, which is why you have this real hair-like feather here that's just absolutely amazing. This is the golden brown color, and we are probably the only ones that have that here at Living Waters because we have it custom dyed for the shop. So this is one that I use on my pinch hitters, so you might already have a pelt of this if you've tied my pinch hitter. This is the same color that I use for the olive. Tie a single chickaboo plume in just to kind of add some body under that. The other thing I'll mention here, anything you have there, just tie down the loose bits. You're all well and good. They're fluffy and fuzzy, so there could be some unruly bits. Don't worry about that because we're about to add a piece of rabbit right on top of this. The rabbit we're using tonight is really, really cool stuff. This stuff is called Shimmer rabbit strips. And it's like a crawfish orange, I don't even know what the color description on this. Yeah, crawfish orange with a gold shimmer. And basically it has this metallic kind of shimmer to it that looks really awesome. How do you make a rabbit shimmer with a metallic sheen? I don't know, but I tend to not ask questions that I don't want the answers to. So here what we're doing is going to tie this in. And if you'll look, I've actually pulled a piece. I'm going to hold this up to the hook so you can see it. I've pulled a piece where all the fur is now off the zonker strip. So now we've just got fur and then the bare zonker strip skin there. In order to make this really, really tie in, I would say, I'm not going to say nice, it's just going to tie in better. Tying in rabbit, I asked Matt Bennett about this one time. I was like, have you found any way to make this more bearable in how you finish the heads on your flies? And we went back and forth a little bit, and I think we both kind of decided that, you know, it's just a necessary evil. Rabbit strips are just hard to finish out and make them look pretty without building up this massive bulk at the head. The way that I get around that a little bit is to cut this to a point. So I cut that little rabbit zonker to a point there, and I want to try to distribute this chickaboo evenly on both sides of the hook. So try to take that, kind of pull it back to where it splays evenly over the hook. Take this rabbit strip, and what I want to try to do is I don't want the rabbit strip to come past the hook eye, and I know that's kind of a little hard to see there, but what I'm trying to do here is when I make this wrap, it's just going to barely catch that right there. And then I'm going to wrap rearwards up towards the eyes. And I don't want to fold that right there. I want that to stay flat. Exactly like that. To where it creates this little thread head, and right there you'll see that it immediately meets the fur. And this is a way that I don't have to worry about crowding my eye on this fly, because I've basically trimmed that to a point, and now I can make that nice neat little thread head that looks real good and polished. And notice we didn't build up just an absolute ton of bulk here. That's exactly what I want, is just that nice, neat, compact little thread head. Come in here, throw a few whip finishes just right there at the eye of the hook. And you'll want to put some sort of head cement or any sort of UV cure, epoxy, something like that on there to hold everything in place, because this is going to be bumping along the bottom quite a bit. The final step, splay all that chickaboo out. Take your finger, shove that rabbit strip down there like this, and then you're going to punch that B10S right through the middle of that rabbit strip and pull it through. And I'm going to stick that guy right back in the jaws so we can see what we wind up with. You have a nice rabbit back there, and we've got rubber legs out the bottom. We're going to take this tail. I don't want it that long. On a size 6, I probably want it about right there, trying to cut only the skin and not the fur. Here's another trick. If you have a hard time, see how right there you got that little, I don't know what you call it, a little hootis, a little bit of excess zonker right there. You don't want that. Take your scissors, hold all the fur in your hand. So you see I can hold the zonker fur here. Take your scissors and slide them back up on that. Give a snip, and you'll get that real clean edge that you're after. See how it comes to a nice point? That little tip right there was probably worth the entire video, but nonetheless, that's what we're after. And the legs here, I want these little rubber legs out the back to come just beyond the zonker strip. Sometimes this is a little easier to trim on the table so that you can see exact measurements. I'm going to make these side legs just a smidge shorter, and then I am pretty much happy with where this thing is going to land. But what I am left with here is a finished Creek Leech in a Shimmer Crawfish with that little gold shimmer on the back. This is just an absolutely amazing fly, and it will do an incredible job for you, especially for our springtime bass in the hill country, which is what we find ourselves right in the middle of right now. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or need help obtaining any of these materials, do not hesitate to call us, and would love to help you however we can in terms of getting stuff ready for tying season this spring. And hope you enjoy this fly and use it on your local fisheries wherever you may find yourself. And again, if there's anything we can help you with at the shop, just give us a call, send us an email, reach out to us on social media, and we'll see you next time.